Alright guys, so here it is, the OnePlus 7 Pro. Let's get into the review. I've been using this phone as my daily driver ever since this phone was launched and available to the public. So this review is going to be a detailed review of my personal experience with the OnePlus 7 Pro. So a couple of things that I didn't like about the way OnePlus launched this device. So when it was launched till now, first thing is you only have the option of purchasing the Pro version of the phone. There is no OnePlus 7 per se, as well as you only get this one color, the Nebula Blue, if you want to go for the highest end spec of the phone, which we'll get into that in a couple seconds. So the OnePlus 7 Pro has entered a flagship category, not only because of the specs that are offered with the phone, but also the price tag that comes attached to the phone. The OnePlus 7 Pro is starting at $700 US. That's almost inching closer to what the S10 is starting off at, which is at $899. So I've been using this phone as a daily driver ever since it was available to the public, and it's the little features on this phone that are actually making me fall in love with the device. What stands out the most for the OnePlus 7 Pro for me will have to be the display, the speed of the phone, and finally the Warp Charge 30. So the Warp Charge 30, in my personal opinion, has been the savior of the OnePlus 7 Pro, which I'll get to that in a couple seconds. Now, starting with the design of the phone, this is one of the things that I didn't like about OnePlus, like I mentioned earlier. Ever since it was launched until now, you only have the option of purchasing that Nebula Blue version of the phone. I personally would have loved to have the Almond version of the phone for the highest in spec, but even until today, you only do get the option of purchasing this Nebula Blue if you want to go for the highest end spec. That's a 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. So onto the design of the phone, you get a very sleek and beautiful metallic profile on the back of the phone, but that's also the biggest downfall that I found on the OnePlus 7 Pro. Because with metal you can't really use wireless charging, and this phone does not have Qi wireless charging enabled on it. So one thing I do have to point out right away is with the back being sleek and very silky smooth, this phone is actually really slippery. So I do recommend that you use the case that's provided within the phone. So if you are planning on purchasing a device or a case from OnePlus, I'll leave a link underneath the subscribe button so you can check it out, save yourself some money as well. So on the back of the phone, it's a very simple design. You get your OnePlus logo as well as your rear camera systems, which are in a class of its own, and I'll get to that very shortly. The front of the phone is where I really was impressed with the OnePlus 7 Pro. The phone comes with a beautiful 6.67 inch Quad HD display, and it's all screen, so there's no notches like the iPhone X, no cutouts like the S10 Plus. And at the bottom of the phone, you just get a simple USB-C charging port. You do get your speaker grills, but there's no headphone jack, and there's no expandable memory with this device. So your options for audio consumption are through using the OnePlus USB-C headphones, which are going for $24.95 at the present moment. Or if you really want to, you can upgrade to the newest version of the headphones called the OnePlus Wireless Bullets for $99. And finally, you do get a dual speaker sound system, which are good, but nothing in front of the S10 Plus. Those are one of the best speakers I've ever heard on any phone. Onto the display of the phone that kind of steals the show for the OnePlus 7 Pro. And this is one of the most beautiful displays I've ever seen on a phone. And it's not so much on the resolution side, what makes the display really amazing, but it's actually the refresh rate found on the OnePlus 7 Pro, which makes this phone stand out compared to the other flagships. So this is the first and hopefully not the last 90 Hz refresh rate that we see from OnePlus, but hopefully other people adopt it as well, like Samsung or even the next year's iPhone. Now, coming from the S10 Plus and comparing it to the S10, I would pick this phone over the S10 Plus, not because of the resolution, but once again because of the refresh rate. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see how smooth the display really is, as this video is being shot in 30 frames per second and it's not able to fully capture that buttery smooth movement of that display. So one of the things I have noticed on the OnePlus 7 Pro coming from the S10 Plus, the iPhone XS Max, and even the iPhone X is the display is beautiful. However, it's not bright when you're using it outside on a sunny day. So that's one of the biggest downfalls that I have seen on the OnePlus 7 Pro. When I am consuming content outside with the full brightness, it's still not as bright as I would expect it to be. But when you are consuming content such as reading the book, using Instagram, browsing the web, the display is really smooth, and it actually made me feel like consuming more content on my phone rather than on my tablets. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that there's no longer a front-facing camera on this phone, and what OnePlus has done is actually really smart, and I like where they've headed with this concept, and I really do hope that it kind of improves as time goes on. And that's another reason why the screen is absolutely beautiful, because you're able to consume your content on the entire surface of the phone without it being cut off by a notch or any front-facing camera cutouts like that are found on the S10 Plus. OnePlus has carried on forward with their tradition of having that in-screen fingerprint reader, and it's slightly faster than the previous generation, but I still feel it's not 100% perfect. With me, what I found is it works on a rare occasion where it's unlocked under a second, but on a regular basis, I am finding myself using my finger to pressed it several times before the phone unlocks, and there have been occasions where my phone was disabled. Then I would have to turn it on, swipe up, and actually use my passcode to unlock the phone. Equally important, this fingerprint reader is similar to the S10 Plus, where it wasn't working 100% of the time, and I was finding myself pressing it over and over again. And I'm not sure if it's my fingerprints or something else. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel about the in-screen fingerprint reader. Do you feel like it's a gimmick, or you actually enjoy having the fingerprint reader inside the screen? So if you've been watching my last several videos, then you know that I personally don't like the in-screen fingerprint reader and would prefer having one on the back of the phone for several reasons. So the first will have to be because I find it awkward trying to unlock my phone while it's laying flat. Now I know that can be easily resolved by using a different finger. So the second thing I noticed that is I feel like I'm taking much longer time to unlock my phone having this in-screen fingerprint reader, because I am finding myself taking my phone out of my pocket, looking at the screen, finding the area where the icon is located, and then trying to use it several times to unlock the phone. And finally, the third reason why I dislike having this fingerprint reader at the front, we'll have to go to the fragile screen protector that's provided on the device. Compared to the S10 Plus, I do find the OnePlus 7 Pro has a much better screen protector applied on the device, and it's able to take more scratches than the S10 Plus. I do find like the screen protector that OnePlus has used, it's more of a silicone based. However, on the S10 Plus, it was a plastic screen protector, which was horrible. And after a couple of weeks of use, you get scuff marks and scratch marks all over the screen. So now back to the front-facing camera. OnePlus has taken a huge leap forward by removing the front-facing camera, and it's now located sort of above the phone. So this is a newer design found on many phones, and I personally love it as it gives the screen a clean and bezel-less look. The bad part of having the front-facing camera on this phone is that it's another moving part which either can fail or is more likely to crack or break if you drop your phone. Now OnePlus has built in a fall protection feature on the OnePlus 7 Pro to prevent that from happening. So if you're ever using your front-facing camera and the phone accidentally slips from your hand and is falling, the front-facing camera will begin to retract and close before your phone hits the ground, hopefully. Now, if you are using the front-facing camera and you want to close it, and you are using your and you're manually trying to close it, OnePlus has implemented different warnings. If you are pushing down on the camera, it will prompt you to stop using that and use the automatic feature, or you might damage the motor. So second thing that I mentioned about this phone is the speed, and OnePlus has not shied away with the speed on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and this phone is absolutely amazing when it comes to the speed of the phone. So the version that I'm reviewing is the highest model available, which is 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. And this phone is crazy fast. I haven't noticed any lag when I'm launching apps on my phone and when I'm running multiple apps. So you will not run into any issues with this OnePlus 7 Pro if you're running heavy apps like heavy gaming or even graphic intensive apps. If you're a gamer, OnePlus has you covered with their brand new Fanatic mode. So this mode is designed for gamers. Once turned on, the phone goes into overdrive where the CPU, GPU, and the RAM are optimized for gaming. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the speed will not be an issue with the OnePlus 7 Pro, as any apps that I've thrown at it has handled it without any issues. Now finally, the savior of the OnePlus 7 Pro from being a disaster will have to go to the Warp Charge 30. Now I say a savior because you have to give up something in order to have that beautiful display, which is 6.67 inches, 90 Hz refresh rate, a super fast phone, and that's something has to go to the battery found on the OnePlus 7 Pro. The battery on this phone is not big enough, in my personal opinion, for all of those things, and it does not last me an entire day on a regular charge. A part of me now wishes that there was almost a larger battery to support those amazing features. On average, I get about 4 to 5 hours of screen on time, and I am finding myself reaching for my charger halfway through the day. And that is clearly why I mentioned that the Warp Charge 30 saved the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now the Warp Charge 30 is OnePlus's newest charging solution. Now it's picked up where Dash Charge has left off. From what they claim and what I have found is I'm able to charge half of my phone within just 20 minutes of charging. So the charging is really fast. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned earlier that the Warp Charge 30 has actually saved this phone. Now onto the camera system found on the OnePlus 7 Pro. The OnePlus 7 Pro comes standard with 3 cameras, which is kind of the new thing for 2019, as a lot of flagships are coming with 3 cameras, such as the S10 Plus, the OnePlus 7 Pro, more than likely the iPhone XI, and maybe even the Google Pixel 4. So the OnePlus 7 Pro has 3 cameras, a 48 megapixel f1.6 camera, a 8 megapixel telephoto lens, and finally a 16 megapixel ultra wide lens. Overall, the pictures coming out of the OnePlus 7 Pro are good but not great. Still to this day, I feel that Pixel and the iPhone are the go-to phones if you are planning on doing a lot of content creation where you're taking photos and videos. But that being said, you'll be able to capture good shots out of the OnePlus 7 Pro from the main camera. The color profiles are pretty accurate on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and one thing that I do like about OnePlus is they're consistently pushing out updates to improve their camera quality, but also the overall UI experience of the camera. One thing that I have found on the camera app of the OnePlus 7 is that there is a manual version, a manual shooting option, so you are able to go more in depth if you are a professional photographer and use those settings to create amazing pictures that are available on the OnePlus website. I do have to point out that I've been disappointed with the ultra wide lens, as I do notice some blurry edges when zooming into images, or if I'm trying to edit those images to color grade them. Overall, my experience with the OnePlus 7 Pro, as well as the company OnePlus, has always been positive, and let me know in the comment section if you had a negative experience with them and what happened. This phone would have been my top 2 or my number 1 phone for 2019 had OnePlus added a couple of extras like this: a better camera system similar to the Pixel or the iPhone, wireless charging option, a larger battery to help me last throughout the entire day of simple tasks such as Instagram, such as content consumption and communications, actually getting the IP67 or 68 certification, and finally a higher storage option. I know that 256 is a sweet spot for some people, but for me personally, I find that 512 is the best option out there if you are planning on using your phone to go traveling somewhere. You want to be able to record videos, take photos, so the 512 is perfect for all of those things, as you will have ample amounts of room for your apps as well as your media. To conclude this review, I'm really impressed and satisfied where OnePlus has come with the OnePlus 7 Pro. It comes in at a reasonable price for 2019, and it offers a great stock Android experience. So if you have enjoyed watching this video, let me know in the comment section, and if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this video. I'll leave my link for the OnePlus website so you can save yourself a lot of money using that link to place your order. And thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. I got some really good stuff coming out for you guys. Until next time, goodbye.